Lawyer Felix Kange jailed for killing wife Regina Morova. Moresby North West candidates lay complaint. And PALAIS acclimatize in Monaco.
This is National EMTV News with Dennis Orere.
Good evening and welcome. This is Wednesday's news. Lawyer Felix Kange, who was found guilty of manslaughter, has been sentenced to 8 years in prison. However, he will only serve 4 years in custody after the court had suspended the other 4 years for good behavior. Kange was charged for killing his wife in 2016. After the sentence was handed down by the Guinea National Court this morning, Kange was taken to Bomana prison.
The 42-year-old from Maya village in Pangia, Southern Highlands Province, received a sentence from Justice Teresa Barrigan this morning. Kange was found guilty of shooting his wife, Regina Morova, with a firearm. The incident occurred in 2016 at their family home at Garden Hills in Port Moresby. Since Kange was arrested on 16th May 2016, he filed several applications for bail and was granted bail on the 4th appeal. During the trial, Kange maintained that he had accidentally discharged a firearm and didn't mean to kill his wife. However, after weighing out the evidence, the Guinea National Court was satisfied beyond reasonable doubt and convicted Kange. Kange will serve his jail term at the Bomana jail outside Port Moresby. Thekla, National EMTV News.
Some candidates contesting the Port Moresby North West seat have laid a formal complaint with the Crime Investigation Division yesterday on alleged incidents of tampering with ballot boxes. At a media conference today, the candidates appealed to the Electoral Commission to delay quality checks pending the outcome of the police investigations. They also raised concerns on the account of irregularities seen in the by-elections and how it has portrayed a failed electoral system.
Without actually pointing finger at someone or accusing anyone for that matter, why we went to the police, to CID, to raise this is so that they can actually investigate and get to the bottom of this, so that their investigations can tell us that no, this is fair, nothing actually affected, the election process and counting.
It was mentioned by both the police and the RO that several boxes were taken out of that printing company that produced these ballot boxes. It was an issue that they raised themselves. We were not even aware of.
Some of us voted in certain boxes, certain places, but to get a zero. Then where are those votes? Where did they go? Are those the correct boxes that were counted? Or were there other boxes? So those are questions that we need answers for. You cannot go into a quality check without verifying some of these concerns. They may be very small concerns by 1%, 2%, but it constitutes to a lot of fraud that may have taken place during this process.
For us as candidates, and then you can give us lame excuse, your day is in court, consort it out in court. That's not the issue. The issue is about protecting the systems and the due process of government. The electoral process must be protected at all costs.
Meanwhile, the Moresby North West returning officer Desmond Timiaso has responded, saying the quality checks will have to continue as per the electoral process. Mr. Timiaso said unless a stay order from the court is presented to the Electoral Commission, the electoral process will continue and the candidates can present their election petitions in the Court of Disputed Returns. A local community in Kainantu, Eastern Highlands were displaced following a tribal conflict in February this year. More than 400 houses were torched and food gardens destroyed when two groups clashed over land used for alluvial mining. The displaced group is appealing for immediate relief supplies.
This is the aftermath of the fighting between the Tapo and Agarabi tribes in Kainantu. Permanent and semi-permanent buildings and food gardens were destroyed.
And first time, looking this like something have come up inside the place.
You go back and see our land or village now. All got something it's gone.
This is the Aliville mining spot where the dispute started. The argument is between the extended family members exploded into a full tribal fight. These men, women and children are part of a group of at least 3,000 people who are taking refuge here at the Kemifa camp area. They were taken in by the SDA Church community and have been here since. They are from the Agarabi tribe, one of the tribes involved in the fighting. But life in the camp area is now a challenge for them. They need food, tents and other necessities to rebuild their lives. Wendy Oseki says, like the other displaced families, she lost her home and other valuable properties when her house was destroyed.
Oh, Samson, one experience when I'm go through here. I'm too much pain.
Schools and business activities were also affected.
Almost 10 weeks, so you can imagine one whole term here. That's one whole term. So looking at this 10 weeks, it's quite a long time. So it's the learning of the students is really affected.
The Northern Mobile Group is heading the peace negotiations between the two factions in bringing back normalcy in the township.
Commissioner Salim Blakamlong, stabilize the situation, bring him normalcy local to restoring services.
Martha Lewis, National EMTV News.
Public Service Minister Joe Sungi has encouraged public servants to perform their duties to the best of their abilities. He was speaking at the launch of the HR Business Process Rollout Program, which has started in Moresby. The program is expected to improve the efficiency of the public service through improved training and output.
Provinces and districts, they work together, so they have no problem. If they have problems with the personal issues, then that's where you come up with. But otherwise, let us fix this terminology. District administrators are still district administrators. They are part of the provincial administration. They don't have any, the district administrator has no powers to discipline officers under him or her. They can only refer them to the provincial administrator. Provincial administrator has the final power to recommend, through the provincial disciplinary committee, to discipline all officers.
The Registrar General of PNG Civil and Identity Registry is on a mission to recruit and instill positive work ethics to young Papua New Guineans joining the public service workforce. Being an academic for a while, Noel Mobia believes good grades must correspond with good attitudes.
So you can register now.
Noel Mobia is the Registrar General for the PNG Civil and Identity Registry. He has a memo task of making sure Papua New Guineans over the age of 18 have a national identity card or NID, and all citizens from birth upwards have a birth certificate. Part of that job is to ensure an up-to-date database for all births and deaths, and those that turn 18 is kept. To help him maintain and process all this information, he is on a mission to recruit and instill positive work ethics to young Papua New Guineans joining the public service workforce. Mobia had made an example at the Alatau office when he did a surprise visit and saw the public turning up at the office way before the officers. The whole staff were terminated and a mass recruitment took place in the beginning of this year. Despite Milne Bay not having a provincial registrar, the new team of young officers, mostly below the age of 30, did 14,000 NID registrations in just 4 months. Compared to 2020, Alatau office registered only 7,000 people for the whole year.
This staff in 4 months registered 14,000, so that's a big jump. So which means that as soon as we open on Monday, I'm sure the Alatarians and people from all the other 4 districts in the province are going to turn up, and I'm sure we're going to see a lot more people here.
being an academia before heading the NID project. Mobia says he recruits based on two things, GPA and attitude. He said a person can have a very good GPA, but if their attitude doesn't match, there is no space for them. The PNG Civil and Identity Registry has received a lot of public criticism over the years, but since taking office, Mobia is confident with the team of young, vibrant public servants he has recruited throughout Papua New Guinea that they will get the job done. While he wished they could get sufficient funding to effectively roll out the program, they are restricted by the government support and work around what is budgeted for the office.
The quicker we get the funding from government, the more manpower we can move. And then you can find that lines will start to reduce, the queues will become shorter, processing times takes a little bit faster because we got a lot of manpower now. This is because the system that's designed for us for the civil and identity registration is all human-based. It's not automated. So that's why it's a little bit difficult. But I think with the young team we jumped from 156 when I took office to about 484 staff now, and we're very proud that all the young ones we're recruiting are really taking out the numbers for the government.
Shaman Poreamba, National EMTV News.
Meanwhile, the PNG Civil and Identity Registry is also printing new NID cards that are more durable. If the print on your card is fading, a fee of 50 kina will get you the new one.
PNG Civil and Identity Registry is reprinting the National Identity Cards or NID cards.
The reason why we're doing that is the new card we've designed and put out is a bit more sophisticated and a bit more durable over the 7 years than what the Huawei one is over 3 years. So you would see a lot of cards from the Huawei print that's gone. We've got a new printer. We bought a new printer and put it in to print these cards, and the quality that's coming out of this printer is much more superior than the one we had before.
The PNG National Identity Card registration was launched in 2014, aimed to become a universal card for all Papua New Guinea citizens. An initial 50 million kina funding was budgeted for in the 2015 budget to roll out the program. By 2018, the government had spent around 230 million kina on the project. This first lot of NID cards issued would now be faded or worn out. Mobia explained that the public is not forced to reprint the NID card, but if they wish to get the new durable card, they may do so. But it is advisable to reprint the cards.
The card replacement exercise, you have to walk into a live link office, which means you have to turn up to one of the offices like Alatau, or if you're in Moresby, the NID house, or the Moale house, and all the other provinces where they have to change. You take your photo real time to be uploaded. And if you're in Moresby, we can turn your cards around within 3 days. If you're outside, probably a week to 14 days to get it to you.
The new NID card has several features at the background when tilted. The 50 kina fee for the reprint does not apply to lost NID cards. All payments to be made using F-Post machines. Shaman Poreamba, National EMTV News.
Among stories after the break, the Port Moresby Nature Park celebrates 9 years as an internationally recognized wildlife park. Stay with us. Welcome back to the news. Education Minister and Usino Bundi MP Jimmy Uguro aims to build human resources in his electorate by investing in education. Mr. Uguro hopes to see a more skilled workforce serving the district. To ensure this is possible, the member presented a school tract to the newly established Usino Technical High School.
Usino Bundi district has recently elevated a number of primary schools to high school status in its efforts to develop its human resource capacity.
You must compete with the Monaco district, Nalula provinces, to make sure you be producing planted savama.
The minister described the high schools and a number of technical colleges as life-changing institutions. institutions that produce the brains needed to improve the electorate's workforce.
Be serious, no sense in brain blow. And in plus blow you come up city inside long brain blow.
The minister presented a school truck to Usino Technical High School, purchased by the District Development Authority at the cost of 150,000 kina. Deputy Principal Benjamin Datton also says the new technical high school has 3 grade 9 classes with 5 teachers. Datton says the newly established technical high school has its own challenges and would need the support of all stakeholders, including parents.
All this law sumatin na now will stop. Mipla must support him all, not giving people look sabe long all. Because all start sumatin na mipla. All this line by starting not giving this name Usino Technical High School.
The local MP also took the time to present 10 sawmill to Bundi and Usino LLGs respectively, 5 wards in Bundi and the other 5 wards in Usino LLG. The 10 sawmill is part of the DDA's plan to purchase 65 sawmills for each of the wards in the electorate. The sawmills come under the district's housing scheme. The member also presented 2 motorbikes to 2 of the district's agriculture officers to help them assist local cocoa and coffee farmers. The local MP also launched its cocoa buying depot in partnership with Linguan Company for farmers to sell their produce. Mathalubi's National EMTV News, Medeng.
More than 50 students from the International Training Institute received scholarships worth 300,000 kina. ITI Executive Manager Siva Sivaruban says the awarding of the scholarship is helpful in these tough economic conditions. The students were selected from various schools in the country.
As the need in education rises in the country, these first-year students attending ITI were awarded with the scholarship. ITI Executive Manager Siva Sivaruban says 90 grade 12 students from last year were selected and each will get 3,400 kina. He says 45 students were selected from secondary schools in NCD and Central provinces, while the rest from other secondary schools in the country.
So we are giving this scholarship to the students those who are outstanding perform in the grade 12 exams and those didn't get a chance to study in the university spaces. So we are providing a space for them to study at ITI, Port Moresby and Lay and the remaining other branches to further studies.
Solomon Koma, who takes certificate in human resource management, he says this opportunity given by ITI will be helpful.
As scholars, we really appreciate this opportunity because it's so much helpful for us to achieve whatever goals that we plan to have in the future.
During the ceremony, Siva reminded the students to perform well while under this scholarship. Podivai, National EMTV News.
Papua New Guinea's only internationally recognized wildlife park celebrated its 9th anniversary today. Port Moresby Nature Park has set the benchmark in PNG for tourism, animal welfare, conservation, research and community nature-based education. It is also home to over 550 native animals and hundreds of plant species, many of which are rarely seen outside of PNG.
Home to over 550 native animals and hundreds of plant species, the Port Moresby Nature Park celebrated its 9-year anniversary today. There were a number of significant events held at the park last year that showed the park's growth and advancement in the areas of conservation and wildlife rehabilitation.
So I think today is really one of those days where we look back and celebrate all that has been achieved. And what's so amazing about it is that it's a not-for-profit organisation. This is a charity, and our success is really because of the support of the community by visiting us and becoming a member.
The park is spread over 30 acres of tropical gardens. It started out as the National Botanical Gardens in 1975. In 2012, it transitioned to become the Port Moresby Nature Park. One of the key highlights reflected upon since last year was the release of 45 endangered pig-nosed turtles back into the wild through the Head Start program, increasing the survival rate of young pig-nosed turtle hatchlings. In addition to its wildlife and conservation efforts, the park has shared recent success in its endangered Goodfellows tree kangaroo breeding program, with the birth of its first Goodfellows tree kangaroo this year.
So what is the next 9 years? What is the next 10 years of our development? And I think what we'll see is that the park will continue to expand its offerings for the community, particularly focused on connecting the community with wildlife and with conservation understanding. But more broadly is looking at and hopefully our goal will be to set up a Wildlife Conservation and Research Institute.
The park's vision is to be the leading education, preservation, and conservation organization in the country. However, this could not be achieved without its 60-plus staff. Reflecting back on the park's journey, Nature Park CEO Michelle McGeorge expressed her gratitude to all staff, who she says have been the backbone of the park each day for the last 9 years.
I mean, I'm just so blessed to have an amazing team of staff behind me. It makes my job look easy, but they're so dedicated to their job, and that's what's really inspiring, is that they really believe in the future of the park and in serving the community. And so happy birthday to all the staff as well for our 9 years.
Lilian Sopera-Kinea, National, EMTV News.
A memorandum of today to pave way for development of a policy framework to enable banking sector institutions in the country to develop products and services in addressing climate change issues in rural areas. The Center for Excellence Bank of Papua New Guinea signed the MOU. The low-lying coastal areas of the country often fall victim to climate change impacts. And many times, the affected communities in rural locations or on isolated islands have enormous difficulty in sourcing finance to recover from their respective situations in rebuilding their lives. Therefore, the Center for Excellence in Financial Inclusion has initiated a policy agenda in partnership with Global Green Growth Institute to enable financial institutions in the country to offer conductive products and services or projects for individuals and communities affected by climate change.
So this is the correct step forward, where we are looking at strong institutions, private sector-driven institutions, to look at this as a viable business proposition to look at green finance. And this is what we expect the policy to be formulated in Papua New Guinea.
It's going to be a very new area. And generally, the population is not really into this. So there'll be a lot of awareness. We need to drive a lot of awareness, and all stakeholders need to stand together and drive the awareness on the importance of green growth.
The policy document, when developed, will outline the framework for access to funding mechanisms in providing assistance for those in need. Speaking on behalf of Bank of Papua New Guinea Governor Loy Bakani, Assistant Governor Ellison Pidik said the program is aimed mostly at rural locations which are prone to climate change effects.
You are really looking at rural areas and mostly the islands, small islands. You know, those are vulnerable people, and of course, basically literally everywhere. We will work with the financial institutions for them to develop financial products that promotes green finance.
The Bank of PNG, as the sector regulator, will work closely with commercial banks and other financial institutions to put together the policy and eventually implement it. Global Green Growth Institute and other stakeholder representatives joined in the MOU signing ceremony, both in attendance and via virtual conferencing. The country has over 100 dry and wet coffee mills responsible for processing the coffee. According to the Coffee Industry Corporation's acting CEO, Charles Dambui, many of these mills are located in the major coffee-growing provinces of the Highlands region. Arikil Wet Coffee Mill in Jiwaka Province is one such mill that processes coffee parchments that is then sold to Goroka, where it's processed to green bean for export overseas.
The Arikil Coffee's wet mill is located in Jiwaka Province. The mill processes around 60 to 70,000 kilos of cherries daily. The coffee parchments are then transported to Goroka Eastern Highlands, where it is processed to green beans to export overseas. Managing Director Paul Pora, who has been in the business for almost 6 years, said they have shifted to mild Arabica coffee, where coffee cherries are bought from farmers and dried without processing to export overseas.
This is a new sort of coffee. This is being done in Brazil and other places where they mechanize their production. They don't go and harvest the coffees one by one because it's too many to handle, too much to handle. And processing too, they don't do it like us. They want to bulk everything together, so they get it with the skin, go and dry it. Once it's dry and ready to be taken to the mill to do green bean, they just go and process it into green bean without using any water or any pulping, anything.
Throughout coffee processing, there are 3 main steps: harvesting, wet milling, and dry milling. In Arikil Wet Mill Factory, they are focused on separating the fruit of the coffee cherry from the bean using a pulper. The beans are then thoroughly washed here in these washing stations. The coffee parchment is then dried, packed and transported to dry mills to process, where the final layer of the bean called the parchment is removed. Once the parchments are processed, you get the final product, green beans that are now ready to be exported overseas.
So basically, because we have a good road access, people that have coffee, normally big buyers with vehicles buy the coffees from farmers. The farmers pick the coffees and take them onto the roadsides.
Arikil Wet Mill Factory is one of the recipients of the government's price support incentive, who has received 50,000 kina to help buy coffee cherry from the farmers at 2 kina per kilo.
Before we give them 50,000, we have an agreement that we sit down and we sign. So they are obliged to actually provide us a report and the acquittal of the funds that they use. Subject to that acquittal and the report, if you're satisfied, we will continue on to support them with the next tranche of funds. That is 50,000.
According to the managing director, the price support has helped increase the volume of the coffee and has motivated the farmers to produce quality coffee.
You know, it started out in February and March, but we are in the middle of June now, and still the price is high now. Coincidentally, the world market price have also increased. But even if the world market price didn't increase, I think the farmers will still benefit from this price support.
Julie Badui, OWA, National EMTV News.
And now looking at the Nest Fund market report, the kina closed unchanged at $0.2850 in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, your kina will buy $0.2775 $0.3563 Australian dollars, $0.2205 euro, and 29.92 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold is trading higher. Coffee, cocoa, and copper closed lower. Palm oil and copper closed lower. Crude oil is trading higher. And on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed at 94.42 points lower. The ASX 200 is trading at 6.70 points higher, and the All Ordinaries is trading at 1.40 points higher. Stories making headlines overseas when we return. Don't go away. Welcome back. The people of Tabar Islands in central New Ireland have received 2.1 million kina for the Belhart Development Project 79. Namatanai MP Walter Schnobelt visited the Tabar Islands recently to deliver projects under his 79 project per council ward concept, which includes schools and churches. The concept of the project was initiated in 2019, where Mr. Schnobelt delivered a range of projects totaling up to 79 for one council ward. Minister Schnobelt said the project worth over 2.1 million kina comprises of 800,000 kina for Project 79, 560,000 kina for schools, 440,000 kina for churches, 200,000 kina for truck and 70,000 kina for a sawmill.
Sorry, and it has taken me 4 years before me come back, blow you. But me not come back, have nothing. Me come back, want them drive, look sawe, blow belhat. Igolo you blow kita, blow Ward 1, Igolo 5. Project you look live, blow you. Have all items now, you sit down on right side, blow me. You got some long na project too. From school, na blow churches, but me welcome announcement belong NTT.
Minister Schnobelt says the Belhad Development Project was part of his 2017 election promises and it has finally come to pass.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. The race between Toya Whistle and Rally Caputin for the one spot available in athletics at the Tokyo Olympics is heading for a tense climax, with both athletes having just one more competition opportunity on Saturday. Caputin currently has a world ranking of 58 in the long jump, whereas Whistle ranks 89th on the track. Caputin is hoping to improve on her season's best in her final competition in Townsville, where a mark of 6.40 meters plus would boost her chances. Whistle has been competing in Florida recently, and it's understood that she is considering a race in North Carolina on Saturday. To rugby league, the Mandy Muruks came from behind in valiant effort over the weekend to claim their second win of the 2021 Digicel Cup season. The ISO led 16-10 at halftime, but the Muruks came from behind to beat the Gulf ISO 34 points to 28.
The Gulf ISO over the weekend showed impressive form against the Mandy Muruks, with the Gulf side taking an early lead in the first half. This included an impressive showing from vice-captain and halfback Roger Laka.
Laka for the crossfield kick. Chasers coming through. The contest is on. The ball has come loose. Gulf is so having pass. And there it is.
The Muruks, however, held firm in the match and managed to score 2 tries of their own, taking the scores to 16 points to 12 in favor of the Gulf ISO in the first half. The second half saw a much rejuvenated Muruk side managing to score 3 tries in 10 minutes to take an impressive lead.
I think they did so well earlier on in the pitch, but here's another break. And who else? PP racing away there to score.
Gulf ISO managed to come back with 2 tries but fell short, losing 34 points to 28 to the Mandy Muruks. Muruks coach Roderick Puname said it was a slow start, but they managed a good win.
We started off well. I think the first 15 minutes was okay, then we drifted off a little bit. Came in the second half, started well, started drifting off, and then we came back strong. So something we will work on during the week. I think consistency during the 80 minutes is something that we'd really need to work on and then improve ourselves for next weekend.
The Muruks had a good game but were scrappy in patches of the match, an issue that needs to be remedied before this weekend.
We were ahead and then we just needed to slow the play down and then just take control of the game, but the boys started throwing the ball around a little bit, so we just need to be a little bit more patient.
Gulf ISO coach Bagelo Solian was hoping for a win with the team's great start in the first half, but it did not go their way.
We focused on a lot of areas. We wanted to pick a clean-up on, especially with the completion rate and ball handling, which we did. Probably to the later part of the game, we dropped 3 or 4 balls, but 3 or 4 balls for one complete match is good.
The Ishos are showing great potential and are slowly taking on some good form for this season.
They scored 3 quick tries, and in the end, that was the difference. We came back in the last 10 minutes, but We put two tries in 10 minutes. They put 3 in 10 minutes, and that was the difference.
Felix Sukina, Trukai Sports.
The National Schools Rugby League has received a substantial sponsorship package worth 6 million kina from Kumul Petroleum Holdings Limited, with the agreement signed today at the National Football Stadium, partnering with the PNG Rugby Football League to further the development of junior rugby league players in 4 divisions: under 14 boys, under 16 boys, under 18 boys and under 18 open girls.
The identification and development of future rugby league talents through the National Schools Rugby League has received a huge boost to its operations and programs following the announcement of a sponsorship package worth 6 million kina over the next 3 years, with Kumul Petroleum Holdings Limited coming on board with the PNG Rugby Football League in support of junior rugby league development. The signing of the agreement also makes KPHL the naming rights sponsors of the National Schools Rugby League Championships.
Kumul Petroleum, over the last 7 or so years, we have been involved in rugby league in different levels. I think we have been involved in PNG Kumuls through PNG LNG project, which we are partner of. We are also involved in the Hunters program, which we are a platinum sponsor. And we are also in the DCL Cup, sponsoring the Hella Wickman, and we also sponsor the other clubs that need some help as well in the DCL Cup. We bring the younger talents through a properly organized system, which will be hopefully developed by the PNG Rugby League, and hopefully one day, who knows, can play NRL.
PNG RFL Chairman Sandy Saka welcomed the new sponsorship deal with KPHL, stating that the investment in junior development has been lacking over the years, with most of the attention and funding concentrating on the elite development of players, focusing on the Kumuls, Orchids and the SP Hunters.
The future of the game is in the youth pathways. The partnership with Kumul Petroleum will allow PNG RFL and our stakeholders to invest in the pathways. For so long, we've focused on our Elite Pathways program with the Kumuls, the Orchids, the Hunters, the DGCL Cup, with very little support going down to the grassroots game. While we've had support at the top level, we haven't had this kind of significant investment to support the grassroots development of the game into our Pathways program. This support by Kumul Petroleum will ensure that the PNG RFL invests in the Elite Pathways program.
Huxley Lovai, Trukai Sports.
Trukai Sports continues with more after the break. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. The Rugby Sevens women's team, the PNG PALAIS, are in Monaco and gearing up for the World Rugby Sevens Repechage this weekend. The tournament is the global qualifier for the Tokyo Olympics, where PALAIS will need to finish in the top 2 to qualify.
The girls had their first training session yesterday after arriving in Monaco on Sunday. PNG is in Pool B with Tunisia, Jamaica and Kazakhstan. PALAIS will go up against Tunisia in their first match and later take on Jamaica. Both matches will be played on Saturday, while their last pool match will be up against Kazakhstan on Sunday. The 2 top teams in each pool plus the 2 third-place teams with the highest point totals will qualify for the knockout stages of the competition. The knockouts will feature 2 rounds of knockout games, with the final featuring 4 teams competing in 2 matches where both winners qualify for Tokyo. All matches will be live streamed by World Rugby Sevens via their social media channels. Should PALAIS secure one of the 2 women's sevens places up for grabs at the tournament, they might just become the first PNG team to take part in a team sport at an Olympic Games. Yana Zoriri, Trukai Sports.
That story wraps up Trukai Sports. The weather report after these messages. Stay tuned.
Trukai Sports.
This weather update is proudly brought to you by MoniPlus, with you always.
Weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow. In the southern region, Port Moresby mostly fine, then possible patchy inland morning fog. Daru fine and windy. Kerama cloudy periods. Alotau brief showers. Popondetta cloudy periods with patchy rain. To the Momase region, Vanimo few showers. Ley, Medang and Wewak cloudy with a few showers. In the New Guinea Islands region, Lorengau and Kavieng fine. Kokopo and Rabaul fine, although cloudy at times. Cloudy with few showers for Kimbe, partly cloudy with brief showers for Buka. In the Highlands region, Mount Hagen, brief overnight showers, then morning fog. Partly cloudy with brief showers for Goroka and Kundiawa. Mendi and Wabeg, cloudy with patchy rain, then morning fog.
The weather update was proudly brought to you by MoniPlus, with you always.
And that's the news, sports and weather for Wednesday, the 16th of June 2021. Pleasant viewing, be safe, bye for now.